Nobody sat me down before my divorce and said, here's what this is going to do to your finances. Well, actually, one person, me, one person who happened to me to be my divorce attorney said to me, well, based on you and your income and your life, you're never going to be able to take another vacation again. But in the reality of it, nobody told me that the majority of the women who go through divorce, and I know women get hit harder than men on the finances, but nobody told me that the majority of us would have serious financial setbacks. That many of us will go bankrupt. That the life we built together doesn't it's not like a 50-50 split. It collapses unevenly, and we as the woman are left with most of the weight. And I'm telling you what nobody told me, not as a doom and gloom, not as a your life is over and never going to be better than it ever was. Actually, contrary to that. I'm telling you this because if we start with what nobody told me, we can fix it for you in a way that you can, I won't say leap over it, but like, why do we have to stare into doom and gloom of reality? So here are the numbers that nobody shares. So before we talk about what you're going to do and how you're going to fix it, how you're going to avoid financial destruction and ruin, I want to tell you what's a snapshot of what's really happening in the world, because if you're more knowledgeable with it, I think that that's really important. That's a really important way to live. Not to use it as a way to hold you back, and not to use it as a way to keep you stuck. God forbid, I don't want you stuck. It's quite the opposite, right? I want you to know that your numbers, like it's all about know the numbers, because we're going to do better, because we can get ahead of it. So, divorce is one of the single greatest financial setbacks a woman can experience in her mid 40s. And the statistics, they're brutal. And I don't know that they get talked about enough. Like, nobody, I mean, you don't sit around a coffee shop talking about financial ruin and divorce, right? And then there's this society glare over of like maybe avoiding the conversation, maybe ignoring the conversation. So a woman's household income drops significantly. On average, it drops 20 to 30%. And many times a man's income increases or it stays stable, it stabilizes, right? And a large percentage of women who divorce in their midlife, in their mid 40s, midlife, whatever you want to call it face bankruptcy within 5 years. And I know men who have been really dramatically affected by this as well. So I don't want to downplay that it hits both genders, but it's not because here's what the problem is with like the women divorce and finances. It's not because we're irresponsible. It's not. It's because our financial structure of a 2-income household or a 1-income household simply we can't be cut equally in half and survive. It just doesn't work that way. right? We have potential job loss, we have health costs, we have housing, and you have legal fees with divorce. And many times legal fees that you have no control over. So you have a financial crisis that is now compounding quietly, and you're trying to survive emotionally, right? Like, we as women handle our emotions differently than guys do. So I've lived this. I've lived the job loss. I've lived the divorce. I've lived divorce and wanting to exit corporate at the same time. The financial devastation was real. I moved to a little condo. He bought a house. We need to start talking about this honestly. And so I felt like I was on my own island, and I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want that loneliness, that financial burden. And this whole, YouTube live right now, right? It's not doom and gloom. This is not the doom and gloom conversation. This is a wake-up call, because if I can help you face this head on, if I can truly help you shift how we're dealing with this head on, we can rebuild fastest. We can be the fastest rebuilders through it. You can get through this faster and in a better financial situation than maybe you've ever been. So we're going to dive in to 3 financial traps that women are falling into, and most specifically, women going through divorce, right? So what are these traps that we are falling into? Because if we're aware of the traps that we're potentially going to fall into, are we going to fall into them? No. Why would we? Why would we go straight into a trap that we know is set up for us? Trap number 1. We are managing our day-to-day with no plan. I mean, when I was married, I didn't pay the bills. He paid the bills. He managed the finances. He paid the mortgage. Like, he did all of that. So when you're in survival mode through your divorce, you're having to make these financial decisions, maybe for the first time in your life. And many times, if you can get out of the depths of despair, if you can get out of them and you can watch how you're living, you're probably living in reaction, right? Does any of this sound familiar? Like, you're paying what's urgent. You're paying the bills you have to pay. You're putting off what feels too big to deal with right now. I've been there just these past 3 years. You're avoiding looking at the full picture because the full picture is terrifying. I mean, every divorce financially is so different than one another. So this trap, this survival spending, paying what you have to pay, deferring the big bills, putting things off, avoiding things, it's completely understandable. However, if you don't interrupt it, if you don't stop it in its tracks, right? Like, what's a trap need? It needs interruption. A trap is coming down the path, but you need to interrupt it. So, okay, now what? Because this is heavy and this is uncomfortable. And if you're on your own and you're divorced or recently divorced or going through a divorce and everything's falling apart and you're in survival mode, you don't even see the exit strategy here, right? So what do you do? Well, you need to do a financial clarity exercise. What the heck is that? Well, think of it as a budget, but not a full budget, a snapshot. Okay. And as we build our business, you're going to do the same thing for your business, right? What's coming in and what's going out? And then where's the space in between? Because you can't build a plan around something you won't look at, right? You can't build a financial success plan around the numbers that you won't look at. I avoided my finances for a long time. And I started to sit down and look at them, right? Look at them. And it was scary. I mean, I had things bouncing. I had accounts in the negative. I had alerts coming through and it was scary. I mean, that is scary. But it was also the days that I was waking up to, okay, we're adults and we have to change. And the minute you do this exercise, if you will, right? What comes in, what goes out, what's the gap? Like I make I make this amount of money and I spend this amount of money in a month and I'm negative this amount, right? That's the first trap, is that you're survival moding and you're not able to start to set you up for a longer term success because you're avoiding the messy. So trap number 2 is this is painful too. You're waiting for stability before you build the income. So I am sure you're sitting here and that trap number 1 hit you like gut punch. And you maybe had an aha moment, but you also maybe had I'm just going to continue to avoid this area, right? I've got credit card bills. I've got whatever. And then I really want to take a vacation, but I can't pay my rent. I can't pay my gas. I can't pay my food. I can't pay my credit card bills down. So instead of like dealing with all the bills and all the money that's owed and all the money that's coming in and seeing that it's really negative, like the money coming in is not going to exceed the money going out. So you're in the negative. You're just, it's so much more comfortable to sit in the avoidance. I get it. But that's a trap. Okay. So the trap number 2 is waiting for stability before you build your income. Okay. All right. Bear with me. I'm going somewhere. I promise. The most dangerous financial decision that us divorced women, midlifers, can make is waiting until things settle down before we build our income. I feel like I need to repeat that. You need to listen to this. You need to, don't just listen to it. You need to hear this. This is, if somebody was sitting across from me having coffee and somebody would have said to me, Melissa, the most dangerous financial decision you're making right now is waiting until you get settled before you start building your income. That's the gold right there. Because why? Because things aren't going to settle down on a schedule. Every month you wait is a month further behind. I promise you, I am speaking from my heart and my soul and my gut. Listen, every month you're waiting for things to stabilize, for things to feel a little more certain, to feel a little more settled. You are falling further behind. Here's the truth. This trap of waiting for stability before building, the truth is you don't need stability to start. You need to create stability. You build the stability into your life. I started building so many different businesses, and for this purpose, I started building the Messie to Momentum session while I was still living out of a suitcase. I started building and reviving and keeping going the Messie Missy podcast while I was still working my side hustle. Again, I started building and I found the cadence to keep going, not in the stability, but without the stability. Not because my timing was perfect. Your timing is never perfect. You need to swallow that one, because the waiting is costing you more than the starting is. And I only say this from the biggest part of my heart. I want you to build through your messes. The smallest income generating action you can take is the right move, not the perfect move. There's no such thing as a perfect move. And in move, I mean like a movement. Do the thing. Do you need me to repeat that? That the smallest possible income generating action you can take. Don't you want some new money in your bank account? All you have to do is start. Oh, you don't think it's that simple. I hear you. Okay. Trap number 3. The final trap is that you don't feel that you have enough value to offer. I don't like this one for you. I really don't. You are you are sitting on a gold mine. What? Your circle didn't tell you that? Your parents didn't tell you that? Your sisters and brothers and siblings and ex didn't tell you that you were sitting on a gold mine? Well, Messie Missy just told you. You're sitting on decades of professional experience, life skills, hard fought and won wisdom. You don't even know the value you have. You're consistently undervaluing yourself. Just think, when was the last time you had a conversation about income? And what did you have that conversation around? Lack? You don't need to start at the bottom. You're not starting at the bottom. You need to take your confidence where it was buried underneath all the divorce pain and heartbreak, because it's there. You don't need to take whatever you can get. You have a starting point that is far beyond ground zero. You do. You didn't know? You feel like you're at ground zero or below it? You're not. So we build through our lived experience. It's one of the fastest paths to income that exists for a woman in your position. And it doesn't mean you have to tell your messy stories to everybody just to make money. You don't. The messy to momentum session exists because for 3 years, I sat in my pain. I wallowed in my pain. I survived it. I just told you what the traps are. How did I know what the traps are? Because I lived them. I fell right into the traps, hook, line, and sinker. But then, by the grace of God, I built, because I know what I need to do. I've done it before. I need to build. But I didn't have the experience if I hadn't sat through all that messy survival mode stuff for 3 years. I wouldn't have had the experience that I just lived through. The divorce, the job loss, and the rebuild, and the attempt to start and stop and start and stop, and it was just killing me. So I packaged it into something that other people will pay for, because they'll pay for it and it gives them results. It's not luck. This isn't a build around luck. It is recognizing the value of your own experience. Your experience isn't the downfall, quite the opposite. It's actually the most valuable thing you have. You can sell it. You can sell experience and turn your whole financial doom and gloom landscape around your divorce, around your loss, around your terrible, messy circumstances. So here's how we're going to do this, because that's what this is all about, right? It's like, okay, I get the reality, and now how? The income sequence that really works. This is a framework that I'm going to give you, because this one is going to change how you think about rebuilding financially, right? So let's go through this framework about how you are thinking about rebuilding financially. Well, have you even thought about how to rebuild financially? Or are you just, again, in your survival mode trap? Only you can answer that. Seriously. Because the younger me, the inexperienced, going through a divorce me, had none of this wisdom, had nobody to sit across from her and have that cup of coffee and say, this is the framework of how you can rebuild financially. Do you have that in your life? I would just love to know, because I really needed that. All right, let's just go. So if you don't have a framework of rebuilding, how are you rebuilding your finances? I would love to know. I'm just curious. Here's what most women are doing right now. They're doing it in the wrong order. Are you trying to figure out your identity first, and then the structure of it, and then the income, right? But when your finances are in crisis, income has to come first. So we're flipping it around, and the sequence really needs to be income to structure to identity. And it sounds totally backwards, right? Because you're thinking, no. I have to know who I am first. Then I have to build the structure around knowing that. And then the income comes. No, we're flip it around. Income is going to give you breathing room. Breathing room. What does that create? It creates space. When you think about that, when you can breathe again, how does that feel? It gives you the ability to think clearly. And when you can think clearly, You can build structure. What does structure build for you? Structure gives you identity. You have a structure and your identity is in the structure. So when I was in my deepest financial ruins, I could not think about identity. I couldn't find myself. I could keep looking for decades. I couldn't even identify my purpose. And I remember working with coaches who were trying to help me, life coaches and therapists. But I was in survival mode. The moment I had small income stream moving, the breath, right? You could then start to see the other pieces come together. And it's not because money fixes everything. Money fixes a lot. But the financial pressure was taking all of my bandwidth, all of everything. It puts you in panics. It puts you in paralysis. I mean, it just takes everything from you when you are under extreme financial pressure. And it leaves you with nothing left, no space, no time, no energy, nothing left to rebuild. So, what do? We break it down. That's the Messy to Momentum framework. That's the Messy to Momentum session that I built, because I want you to know that your first goal, okay? If we set out on a journey of financial freedom for you, post-divorce, through divorce, post-divorce, through financial ruins of divorce, through financial ruins of anything, your first goal is not this big, thriving, multi-million-dollar business. Your first goal is one income stream. One thing, one person buys, one income drops into your account. And that is yours. And it's what you can control. And that's where you start. That's your starting point. That's where you build. You build from there. That's it. So if you're in financial aftermath of divorce, if you're in financial ruins of something major, something messy in life, you're probably scared to look at your data. I lived in that world for a long time. You're scared to look at what are you bringing in every month and what do you have going out every month, because there might be a big gap there. And then what are you doing? You're waiting. You're waiting because you want things to feel better, to get stabilized, to what? You're waiting. Nothing is going to get fixed and built by waiting for it. And you're undervaluing what you have to offer. And you're not doing it on purpose, okay? Because I don't like that. I don't like it when people think I'm self-sabotaging on purpose. You're just in this mess. You're in it. You can't see your way out of it. So you're not going to give yourself the worth that you deserve. You're not going to give yourself the value that you deserve. How are you going to sell what you're worthy of without giving yourself value? So this Messy to Momentum session is where we start to change that. Done it. It's so exciting. I don't want you to have this sense of dread, of loneliness, of your finances weighing you down and have nothing to look forward to. And it's all in this building that I just outlined for you, right? It's all in income to structure to identity. When you have income, when you have something coming into your bank account, then it gives you that space to think clearly, to build a structure around it. And by building structure, we have identity, something new, something exciting. And you don't have to stay there either. It can be a moving identity. 90 minutes, one-to-one, we work together. We look at where you are. We look at what you have to offer. And what the first income generating move looks like for you specifically. God, I wish I had had this years ago. Where would I be? I don't know, but here we are. This is not, we don't work generically. We don't work with fluff. I'm not a therapist. I don't want to hear all the problems. No offense. We're here to build. So I put the link pinned it in the comments. But before you go, let's do some work. What's the one thing, financially speaking, that you've been avoiding looking at? Name it. And if you don't want to put it in the comments below because it's personal, put it on a piece of paper. What is the one thing you've been avoiding financially that you need to look at? Maybe it's how you're going to afford college for your child. Are you avoiding that? Maybe it's looking at one vacation or wellness retreat that you want to take. You know the price tag of it, but you're avoiding it. Write it down, because naming it is the first step to facing it. These are the things that these financial realities, these are the things that nobody wants to talk about. Why? Why aren't we having these conversations? We need more of them, and we need more positive building up of one another, of each other through the hardship of divorce, because divorce is devastating to our finances. All right. Every day, never know what you're going to get. No. Every day, YouTube Live with the Messie Missy. We're building beautiful businesses through our messes. We're building beautiful lives through our messes. We're building financial freedom and time freedom. Those go hand in hand. With financial freedom, you can choose how you spend your time and your money.